if they miss it, they have to do a whole blow up.
Gotcha. I want to dive into Baker Mayfield a little bit more. Like I said, I was sold on Baker Mayfield coming out, and the thing about Baker Mayfield is I think that his head kind of got a little bit big, just a little bit, And let's look at Baker Mayfield's, track record. He had to walk on twice in college. He had to walk on at Texas Tech, had to walk on at Oklahoma, and you would think that a two-time walk-on would not go number one overall. And he elevated his play. He was great his first season in Oklahoma when he got the chance to start. He elevated his play even more in his senior season. I felt that he was more of a late first-round pick, his junior year. His senior year, I felt that he was the best quarterback in the nation, and it was proven to be true. He went number one overall. He won. And then he goes to the NFL. People say that he was overdrafted. Well, guess what? He was the best rookie quarterback that year. You could debate between him and Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson had a smaller sample size his rookie season than Baker, but in reality, you look at Baker Mayfield's first season, you say, yeah, it's working right now. He's the guy so far. But see, then what's Baker Mayfield's new motivation? You know what I mean? Like, he won. He was the number one overall pick. He was the walk-on. He won. But then I think the success kind of started to get to him a little bit. He had a couple commercials here and there. And obviously the play calling was not great this past year by Freddie Kitchens. But in reality, Baker Mayfield, I think that he just needs to mature a little bit. He's talked about this offseason, how he has, taken more of a leadership role. I think that he realizes the work he needs to put in. He realizes what he did wrong and the things that he needs to clean up. And we could talk about the bad offensive line. We could talk about the bad coaching. I admit those things were bad, but at the same time, Baker had a pretty good supporting cast last season between his running backs and wide receivers. So I'm not willing to give up on Baker Mayfield quite yet. He does need to show a lot of improvement this year. There's really no excuses this year because we're going to get to Kevin Stefanski in a little bit, but I think Stefanski can coach. Well, I don't know if he can coach, but I project that it's going to be a decent hire. Nick Chubb is great. Jarvis Landry is great. OBJ is great. You've got two tight ends now. The offensive line, which was a weakness, is now improved. So, Baker, it's on you now, man. So, are you still sold on Baker? I'm pretty sure you are, but talk about, let's ask this question. For the people that don't believe in Baker Mayfield, what do you tell them, and why do you believe Baker Mayfield can improve this season?
For the people who don't believe in Baker Mayfield, I gotta tell him he had his sophomore slump. Like, he's a young quarterback. He needs time to improve. He's been through. This is going to be his third head coach. Well, yeah, fourth if you count the interim with Greg Williams. But why I think he's going to be great is because it's his make or break season. Anytime Baker's had his back against the wall, like you said, he walked on twice. He's shined. When people thought he was not going to be good in the NFL and that he was overdrafted, what did he do? He shined. He had that motivation. Baker now has that motivation to show people that he can bounce back from this terrible season that he had. But I also believe that this is his make or break year. He has no excuses anymore. He has everything he needs. He has veterans in the locker room that will hold the whole team accountable. Because you've seen Myles Garrett do dumb stuff. Greg Williams, the person who's supposed to protect him, getting busted at the border with so much weed in his car. Like, that's terrible. He has a no-nonsense and successful coach. So this is why I think Baker Mayfield, and they have a better offense in general, a better team. So, like, there's no exceptions for him to be terrible this season.
Yeah, I agree. And also, I don't think that Keenum's going to overtake him if he kind of plays bad. He may, but Case Keenum's on the roster now, and he went to a NFC Championship game a couple years ago. So I think that, look, if you give Case Keenum, if you give him Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, and some of those weapons, I think he could at least win a game or two. I mean, he's on the downside of his career, in my opinion. But yeah, now you got a backup quarterback kind of on his heels. So Baker definitely has to perform this year. And I agree. I still believe in Baker Mayfield. What do you think his ceiling is? I think that he can still be a top 10 quarterback one day. He's just a natural thrower of the football. He does need to cut down the turnovers, though. When he was at Oklahoma, the one thing that I liked about him was that he did not turn the football over a lot. That needs to be cleaned up. He had 14 interceptions his rookie year, and he didn't play all 16 games, so that was pretty high. We're not even going to count the fumbles, and this season was kind of a disaster. I know that some interceptions weren't all his fault. Some deflected off of wide receivers. And again, I don't think Freddie Kitchens was setting him up to succeed. But yeah, I mean, what do you think Baker Mayfield's ceiling is? And yeah, just talk about that.
Well, in my opinion, I'm sold on Baker Mayfield, but I also think he has a limit. Yeah, I don't think his limit is a Super Bowl. I think he's gonna maybe bring us to a couple AFC championships, but I don't think he'll ever get us over that hunch. And I think that's when Baker's career is gonna slowly start to decline. But you also, I can't doubt him, and I also hope, obviously, as a Browns fan, that he can get us to that promised land, that Super Bowl that we haven't experienced yet. And yeah, I mean, that's. I also feel like I said with this motivation, he can turn this motivation to something great. But at this point, he has to prove something before we can give him any props.
Yeah, I'm not going out here saying Baker's going to be a top 10 quarterback. I think that that's his ceiling. And I think that what we've kind of realized from Baker is that he's never going to be quite, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes. And that was never my expectation. I think that he's more of a trailer than a truck. I think that he needs a better offensive line to play well, play his best. I think he needs a good running game. That's why I'm hopeful that the Browns run the football a little bit more with Nick Chubb. I think that the Browns honestly probably should commit to running the football on first and even second down if they need to, because if you give Baker a good running game and protection and get the ball in his hands pretty quickly, I think he's pretty good. Do you agree?
Yeah, I also believe, like I said earlier, about how he's always been used to making those 3-yard plays to receivers who are his playmakers. Baker Mayfield's not the playmaker, and he needs to get the ball to the playmakers for them to do their job and help the team win.
Now, I got to ask you this question. Did the Browns make a mistake by picking Baker Mayfield number 1 overall? Obviously, I think that Lamar Jackson has kind of exceeded everybody's expectations. I thought Lamar was going to be a good quarterback. So when you realistically look at it, when you look back about 10, 15 years from now, you're going to say, yeah, you should have took Lamar Jackson number 1 overall. But at the same time, I don't think that he would have survived if he was in a bad situation. So do you think that the Browns were you high on Lamar? Did you think the Browns should have taken maybe Darnold, Rosen? I was never sold on Rosen. I just didn't see mobility. I saw a very overrated prospect. Josh Allen has talent, but I think Buffalo is his best fit right now based on what we know. So what are your thoughts on Baker going number 1 overall? Was he overdrafted?
All right, well, I was never sold on any other quarterback, to be honest. Sam Darnold was the other option. He was turnover prone in college, so he was off the books. And all the other quarterbacks, I thought they were pure garbage. Like Wyoming, big school, big opponents. But I also thought if we didn't draft Baker at number 1, he might not have been there at the 4th pick where we drafted Denzel Ward, but we would have drafted Saquon Barkley, and we lucked out that draft with Nick Chubb, who was a steal in my opinion. So no, I don't think he was overdrafted, and like I said, I think this motivation of being a bust from the number 1, obviously going to the Browns. Also, you don't want to be that person. You want to be that person to turn the franchise around, which is why I think drafting him at number 1 was a good choice.
Gotcha. We shall see what Baker Mayfield's future is going forward. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the juiciest Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I currently am a freshman there right now. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the juiciest Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God bless day, and I'm out.